Well, ladies and gentlemen, has Thomas Tuchel failed at Chelsea Football Club? All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. There's an interesting little tweet from Nizar Kinsella that's circulating around. There's a lot of, quote tweets on it all over Twitter at the moment. Go check that out. The tweet goes something like this: Chelsea back Graham Potter to replicate Mikel Arteta after passing owners' review that Thomas Tuchel failed. Chelsea take long-term view despite pressure on results. Now, look, I've read the article and quite a lot of people have stated it as well. This particular tweet and the article doesn't necessarily mean that Thomas Tuchel failed in terms of achieving the success that he has, Champions League, Super Cup, Club World Cup, making it into Carabao Cup final, 2 times FA Cup final as well. And we should have won at least, out of the 3 that we didn't, we should have won at least 2 of them, maybe at least 1 of them we should have won. But there are certain fans out there. There are certain parts of the fans, and I'm not saying, this particular article specifically talks about Thomas Tuchel being a failure overall, but he's failed the review of the owners in the first 100 days that the owners were around. He failed the review, and we'll get to that. But there is a certain part of the fan base that actually think Thomas Tuchel, like as if he wasn't a manager, like he was a novice, he was a rookie, he had no idea what he was doing. And they kind of give that vibe that he was a failure. Like, as I said in my recent stream, I personally, and I can't speak for you guys would have to let me know in the comments. In recent times, with all the different managers that we've had, obviously Jose Mourinho, we connected. Antonio Conte, let's be honest, that the season that we won, we connected massively. Second season, obviously, was shambolic. Sarri, to a degree, I did connect later on. Definitely did connect. I have to say, Thomas Tuchel, probably someone who's up there in terms of a particular manager that I truly, truly connected from the get-go. And the way he galvanized the team straight away as he took over, taking us for a ride in the Champions League and getting us that Champions League glory, somehow miraculously getting us to top 3 when Frank Lampard got sacked, we were languishing around 9th or 10th. Yes, it was a bit of a, gift to get that top 4 at the end of the season. I believe Spurs had to win in order for us to make the top 4. We lost, or we might have drew against Aston Villa. I think we might have lost. But nonetheless, we finished in the top 4. And then the following season, we know what kind of drama happened with Lukaku, what kind of drama happened in regards to the sanctions, in regards to the ownership change, his personal issues, many players just flopping left, right, and center. There was the COVID scenario as well. And even through all of that adversity, we still managed to put up such an amazing fight in the Champions League against Real Madrid, where we were moments away from going through in that particular tie. If it wasn't for a lapse of concentration right at the end of the Bernabeu, we created magic. And I still remember that game. I'm so proud of that game, even though we got knocked out, so proud of our performance. And even in the Premier League, somehow, miraculously, we still ended up finishing 3rd. And I know there were other teams that were poor as well. I get it. But we still finished 3rd with all the adversities, all the injuries to key players as well, especially Reece James and Ben Chilwell. Now, having said all of that, I'm not going to deny there wasn't moments where I wasn't upset with Thomas Tuchel. I was, because I wanted him to find a solution. And it was annoying me that a manager of his caliber was not being able to find that solution. However, with his saga finished, I can definitely say he was not a failure. He achieved so much. He should have got a lot more. Just been let down by a few individual, players in those key moments in the finals, letting him down. Now, in regards to the new owners coming in and doing their review, the first 100 days review where Nizar Kinsella writes this particular article. Do check out his article. I mean, look, I don't want to pay too much attention to what Nizar says, especially when it comes to transfer news and whatnot. But this is an opinion. Well, claims to have some knowledge, but then there is some opinions around it. There was a 100-day review done by the new owners as soon as they came in regards to Thomas Tuchel and in regards to the club as well. And that particular review, Thomas Tuchel failed. And that inadvertently makes me think, well, you're kind of saying that Tuchel has failed then, right? I find it very difficult. Look, I understand it. Any new owners coming in, if they don't get along, and it looked like they didn't get along. Some of the reports that we heard when Tuchel got sacked, it looked like he didn't get along. He didn't get along with the new owners. I think Iqbali being one of the key figures who he didn't get along with. I think Thomas Tuchel's outlook was, let me just look after the team. Don't get me involved in all these other matters in regards to transfers, this, that, the other, getting them, calling people, being heavily involved in negotiations. I understand from the new owner's perspective that why they wanted this, because they didn't have anyone to rely on when they came in to the club. They pretty much got rid of Marina, Peter Cech left quite quick, Bruce Buck as well left very, very quickly as well. And they probably wanted to get some, reliance from Thomas Tuchel, but Thomas Tuchel was just more focused on the team and trying to get the best out of the team. So look, I can understand that they've parted ways, and that's the owner's perspective. From my perspective, I wish we'd given Thomas Tuchel a bit more time. And I did say at that time when he was still around that if results continue in this manner, because let's be honest, even the results under Thomas Tuchel were a bit shaky, that he was going to be on hot waters. But I'm not going to sit here and say that Thomas Tuchel was a failure. He definitely wasn't. He's at least a manager that has done everything, has got the credibility, knows how to win as well. Do you know what I mean? He's come from the bottom of Bundesliga with Mainz, building them up. Then he took over in Dortmund, where he was sensational with Dortmund as well. I believe he won a German Cup. Came very close to, giving Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich a really good go as well. I'm pretty sure he won a German Cup over there with Dortmund. Then he takes over in PSG and does really well. Was moments away from winning the Champions League with PSG against Bayern Munich. Should have won. And then took over Chelsea and he's done well. So he had that history. He had that credibility. Now, in regards to the second part of this particular tweet, where it talks about that the new owners want to give Graham Potter the opportunity, much like the Mikel Arteta opportunity that he's had at Arsenal Football Club. Now, few things I want to talk about that. Firstly, Mikel Arteta came in and won the FA Cup. I think that immediately gave him some form of credit in the bank, right? A new manager who's able to win a trophy immediately, that's obviously going to give some form of credit in the bank, right? But just because now it seems like it's all coming to fruition, that doesn't mean this is how it ends up with every manager. The article goes on to talk about Jurgen Klopp in Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp, before he came to Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp was a well-known manager. He had credibility from what he did at Dortmund. I'm certain he won the Bundesliga at Dortmund, a particular league which is dominated by Bayern Munich. He even went to the Champions League final against Bayern Munich. I still remember that particular final. Jurgen Klopp had an unbelievable level of work that he's done prior, before coming to Liverpool. He's won something. Do you know what I mean? Pep Guardiola similarly. These people, Pep Guardiola, the first season he was at Manchester City, it didn't work out that well. Still ended up finishing, I believe, third. But the season after, the quality of Pep, the quality of, Jurgen Klopp. Yes, Jurgen had to wait for a little bit, I think 3 seasons or so, but you knew that these men, you can understand why they were getting backed. With Arteta, look, it's an outline also. Arteta's not really done anything as yet in the league. Like, he's not won the league as yet. If anything, I don't know if Arsenal's stuttering right now. And many people tend to believe that once you go through that process and once you go through that, you think you've completed the project, then that's it. It's smooth sailing from there on. No, from there, you got to keep maintaining it. Look at what's happened to Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp now. Haven't they gone through the process? Haven't they done the project? But they're back to where they are again. Their squad is back to where they are. It's because Jurgen Klopp just hasn't been able to refurbish that squad quickly enough, much like what Pep Guardiola has been doing, consistently refurbishing, consistently motivating, consistently keeping the players, desire at a high level. People think for some reason, once we get over, we just need to suffer. We have to suffer for 2 to 3 seasons, much like what Arteta's done at Arsenal. I disagree. We don't have to follow that blueprint. That's just one of the ways. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work out for you. You got to find your own way. The way our owners have spent money with all these new players, we don't have to wait around. And as I said many a times, for me, this particular season is a write-off. I'm okay to accept that. I'm willing to back Graham Potter for next season. But I'm not willing to go through what Arsenal went through, 8th, 5th, because I don't think we need to do that. So this whole notion about replicating Mikel Arteta and what he did at Arsenal, I don't think we need to do that. I think that's naive. The amount of money that we've spent, the quality that we've brought in. And as I said, Graham Potter is not your Jurgen Klopp, is not your Thomas Tuchel. Those guys had won stuff previously. And I'm not disrespecting Graham Potter one bit. I think he's a top manager. I really do. From his work in Ostersund, his work in Brighton. But let's not try and compare and say, but those guys did it in those teams. Jurgen did it for Liverpool. Thomas Tuchel did it. Those guys won stuff. Potter hasn't won anything as yet. So there's always going to be that bit of doubt. Always will be. And if we think that if we stick around for the amount of years that Arsenal has stuck around with Arteta, that it's all going to come into fruition for Graham Potter as well, that's a bit of a risk you're taking. That is a bit of a risk you're taking, because there's nothing to say that he can compete at that level. Yes, he's competed with Brighton at a particular level, but not with the big dogs. Do you know what I mean? Not with the big dogs. So look, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I just feel like there's times in, recently I've noticed a lot of people taking jibes, unnecessary jibes on Thomas Tuchel, and I feel like it's unwarranted. I think we should be okay to say, let's not compare Thomas Tuchel with Graham Potter. No disrespect to Graham Potter one bit. Thomas Tuchel is a level ahead. And I hope that one day Graham Potter gets to that level. I really do. And this is why it's so important. This is why I look at the Champions League moment right now, and I hope Graham Potter somehow galvanizes the team to push us to have a successful campaign, go beyond Dortmund, go into the next stage in quarterfinals, go beyond quarterfinals, see if you can get semis. Because then at least people can say, do you know what? There's something about him. There is something about him. Because right now, in the league, it's abysmal. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know how you feel about everything we've talked about. I don't know, have you noticed anything in social media, in Twitter especially, people talking down on Thomas Tuchel like he's just a novice? And what do you think about this, replicating Mikel Arteta's tenure in Arsenal? Let me know. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Smash the like button if you have. If you're here for the first time, subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. I shall see you guys early tomorrow morning for the preview of the Dortmund game. So do look out for that. And then obviously tomorrow we'll have the watch along as well. Until then, take care. See ya.